Hey guys, welcome back to the show, and on this episode, I'm going to be talking about a Canadian exploitation film from 1981. Now this movie's got everything. Monsters, evil stuffed animals, a really messed up kid. Seriously, the kid is probably the most disturbing part of the movie. It's The Pit. Like I said, this was a Canadian production, but it was shot in Wisconsin. Now the movie starts with the scene from later in the story, during Halloween. And here's Jamie, the main character, and I have to say, I'm pretty disappointed. Because Jamie is 12, and the amount of effort that he put into this Halloween costume is minimal, at best. I mean, come on, with any ghost costume, you can't have the hands visible all the time. And it looks like there was really no attempt to even cover the legs at all. Really, any kid that doesn't care about their Halloween costume, that should be a giant red flag right there. That something's messed up with this kid. But here's the thing. Jamie has something on his mind other than candy. Something like murder. So he goes up to this kid because this boy hasn't exactly been very nice to him in the past.
I'm Jamie. I was wondering if I could join your club and...
Yes, this brings back memories of being in school, trying to be nice to kids, and being bullied in exchange. I'll be honest with you guys, I frequently think about how happy I am that I am done with school. So Jamie's like, hey Freddy, follow me, I've got something for you.
If this is some sort of trick, you little creep, you're dead.
It's no trick. It's sitting there in a bag.
Jewels and stuff?
Yeah. Must be worth millions.
Okay, well in that case, yes. I mean, if the bag was only worth a couple $100,000, I would say it's not really worth missing a night of trick-or-treating over. It only happens once a year. So Freddy goes over to the bag and Jamie pushes him into a giant pit. And now we go back to the beginning of our story, where Jamie is being punished for bringing an adult book into class. And I have to say, I have a beef with this. There is a big difference between an issue of Hustler magazine and a book of creative nude photography. Big difference. Trust me, I'm a photographer. They're two totally different shoots. One of them requires you to come prepared with a lot of baby oil. The other, not so much. I mean, come on, that book doesn't even have any articles in it. And we all know the most erotic part of looking at porn is reading about it. Like a naked photo accompanied by some proper grammar? That's like the 1-2 punch right there. Anyways, the teacher notices that one of the pages has part of it cut out. And I think we all know what's going on here based on the shape of that cutout. The kid was clearly trying to make his own bookmark. Seriously, what would make a better bookmark than a naked body? Right? You want to get people back into reading? You gotta provide a little incentive. This is like a no-brainer. We have erotic books. What about erotic bookmarks? Seems like an untapped market.
All right, Jamie. Rub it off and go home.
Jesus Christ, don't you think you should kind of watch your terminology with this kid? I mean, he's clearly going through puberty. What's next? Oh, hey, Jamie, one last thing before you go. After you're done rubbing that off, do you think you could just give those chalkboard brushes a good spanking for me? You know, really bang them out. Don't be gentle, go rough. Make them clap. You gotta really get that chalk dust out of there. Don't worry if some of it gets in my hair, that's fine. So the teacher goes to the library to return the book.
I'll make sure it's put back on the shelves. There's been a little clipping from one of the pages, I'm afraid. One of the figures cut out. Can you fix that? We'll just take out the whole page.
Wait a minute, I know some shady librarianism when I see it. Taking out a whole page and then slipping the book back onto the shelves without filling out a proper incident report?
Isn't that corrupt?
So the librarian, Mrs. Livingstone, goes into the back, and what the hell? There's Jamie sneaking around, peering in through the back window, and holy shit. Okay, so he cut out that part of the book and then pasted her face on top of it and sent it to her? All right, that is really creepy. Seriously, just look at it. The proportions are all wrong. Anyways, Jamie's parents are going away on a business trip for a while, so they hire a babysitter named Sandy. And Jamie's mom is like, just so you know, he's probably gonna develop a huge crush on you, and he also has no friends at all to spend his time with. So good luck with that.
Why don't you go back where you came from, funny person?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a minute. I knew that the kids at Jamie's school were mean, but I had no idea that he also had to deal with xenophobic neighbors. Go back to where you came from, funny person? I'll have you know that funny people come from all different places of all different backgrounds, and we're not going to be discouraged by any of your slurs. Class clown, joker, funny person. Maybe if you stopped taking yourself so seriously and learned to laugh every now and then, you wouldn't have time to be so hateful.
If you don't mind, young man.
I'm sorry.
Well, then move.
Who is it, Louise?
The Benjamin boy.
Oh, that one. Just not right, that boy.
Holy crap, what the hell is wrong with these people? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna run into the kid who's standing there minding his own business and then start dissing him up.
My wife tells me you have experience with problem children, Miss O'Reilly.
I am working towards my psychology degree, so I can work on a one-to-one basis with exceptional children.
You'll find him exceptional, all right. Not that I don't love my son, Miss O'Reilly, I do. We had an incident here with some old lady in the community. Seeing him swinging in the trees out back with nothing on, except some Superman cape or something.
Okay, well that's really strange. I mean, it's good to be confident in what you're packing, but swinging around naked with a cape on, that's excessive. So they have dinner with Sandy, and Jamie drops his napkin on the floor so that he can go under the table and catch a peek.
None of that, young man.
Okay, what's the limit here? Like, when do you seriously start seeking counseling for this? This kid is supposed to be 12, but this clearly isn't your typical case of going through puberty. I mean, going around the neighborhood swinging on trees naked with a cape on, that really should have been the last straw, you know? It's time to get a professional opinion, just in case. Anyways, Jamie asks Sandy if she has a boyfriend, and things just keep getting weirder.
I spend most of my time. I'll get it. I said I'd get it.
Okay, if you were in Sandy's position here, at what point would you go from being concerned to genuinely freaked out? I mean, the chances are rapidly increasing that she's gonna wake up in the middle of the night and this kid's just gonna be standing at the foot of the bed just staring at her. Anyways, Jamie says he's going to go talk to Teddy, and he means that literally. He has an evil teddy bear named Teddy that talks to him. Later that night, Jamie catches Sandy talking shit about him on the phone to her boyfriend.
Well, the body appears to be 12, but the inside of the head, gee.
However, I'm gonna have to side with Sandy on this one.
My mother always reads to me before I go to sleep.
Now, come on, Jamie. You're too old for that sort of thing.
I mean, do you want her to read you a bedtime story while you cuddle your teddy bear? Or do you want to see that side boob? There comes a time in life where you gotta pick one or the other. And once you cross that line, there's no going back. Because it's just not appropriate to ask somebody, hey, can you read me Goodnight Moon topless? And I'm sure as you go on later in life, you might find some very nice ladies out there who will do that for a certain price, but it's just not done in polite society. And if you're wondering why the teddy bear looks so messed up, it's probably because it is. I mean, just judging on how Jamie acts, that bear has seen some shit. So the next morning, holy crap, it actually happened. I totally called it. Seriously, I wrote that part while I was watching the movie for the first time, so I didn't know he was gonna do that.
Jamie, what are you doing in here? Well, it's just watching you sleep.
I like how he says that as if it's just a totally normal defense. I was just watching you sleep. Calm down. A little bit jumpy, are we? I'm just sitting here and have been for a certain amount of time. What's wrong with that? What is that illegal? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was a free country.
After breakfast, I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Honestly, that breakfast would be nothing but anxiety for me. The whole time, I'd be sitting there eating my food as slowly as humanly possible, like, oh my God, what is this freak gonna tell me? I mean, if he's out there swinging around on trees with his junk hanging out for everyone to see, what type of shit could he be hiding? It's a dead body. Really, that's the only thing left. He murdered someone, and now I'm trapped babysitting the 12-year-old murderer.
And there have been other people like you.
How many of these people have there been, Jamie?
Lots.
Any of them ever come back?
No. Mother says we have a problem getting women to come in. You know how it is nowadays.
No. No, I don't. What happened to the other people? Why didn't they come back? So Jamie tells her that about a mile away in the forest, there's a giant hole in the ground, and at the bottom are a bunch of creatures he calls tralalogs, which sounds like such a nice, fun name. You know, it's like an Oompa Loompa, like tralalalog. And that's really what these things are. They're like a demonic version of the Oompa Loompas. Like, whereas the Oompa Loompas just murder children, the tralalogs eat them alive. Anyways, Abigail, the brat from down the street, who also happens to be the librarian's niece, sees Jamie and apologizes to him, and then invites him to ride her bike. So she took apart her bike and then set it back up in such a way that it would fall apart if someone tried to ride it, and then sat outside and waited for Jamie to just come walking down the street. That is a psychotic amount of dedication to bullying. Like, is there something in the water in this neighborhood? What the hell is going on with these kids? And check out what happens when Aunt Margaret comes out.
Abigail, that's awful. Jamie, you shouldn't play with her. You should just go home.
Look, I know the kid's a freak, but talk about victim blaming. How are you not gonna tell her to apologize? Well, yeah, I know she went to extraordinary lengths to be mean to you, but you shouldn't be hanging out with her anyways. What the hell is wrong with you? Are you stupid? I mean, come on. She's clearly a piece of shit, so this is totally your fault, really. So then Sandy is like, hey, loser, you ever wonder why you don't have any friends? And Jamie is like, well, I don't care. I'm not lonely. I can always talk to Teddy. And here's the thing about Teddy, since Teddy has Jamie's voice.
Well then, she's just what we've been waiting for, isn't she? Yeah.
You might think that because the bear has his voice that, you know, it's just in his head, but it's not. It's really possessed. This thing moves on its own.
Okay, Jamie. Right here. What does that say?
I'm just kidding. I added that in. That's not really in the movie.
Troglodytes, from the Greek word meaning cave dweller.
A man-like ape. You see? And the trolls are in there too.
Sandy is really trying to show him that the trolologs, or trolls, or whatever he thinks they are, only exist in fairy tales. They aren't actually real. So forget about them. Okay, it's bath time. Let's go.
Will you wash my back?
Don't you think you're a little old for that?
Okay, now hang on a sec. I have to say, age has nothing to do with that. Because as a grown man who lives alone, I don't have one of those, you know, like sponge on a stick things. So when I shower and try to wash my back, it's just like a gong show. I'm just throwing the sponge back there, trying to hit whatever spots I can. So that's really not an age thing. Like, well, when you get old, you know, you're old enough to wash your own back. No one is.
Do you like washing me?
Honestly, Sandy, I don't know how much you're getting paid for this gig, but it's not enough. So Jamie decides to feed the trolologs and finds out that they probably eat meat. So he spends all of his money feeding these things, and then decides to really take his pervert game to a new level. At night, Jamie goes to the phone booth across the street from the librarian, Mrs. Livingston's house, and plays a tape recorder telling her that her niece has been kidnapped.
But she'll be set free if you do exactly what I tell you to.
So as Miss Livingston gives into the demands and gets naked, Jamie starts taking pictures of her through the window. Okay, this is way beyond adolescent curiosity. We're well into crime now. This is some seriously disturbing shit. And even though the bear pretty much told him what to do, there's no remorse here. This kid enjoyed the whole thing. So Sandy asks her boyfriend to talk to Jamie to see if that will help. But Jamie is listening in on the conversation and isn't too happy about it. I mean, he hates Sandy's boyfriend. Just look at him. He plays football and he's good at it. drives a car and it's a convertible. I mean, who the hell does this guy think he is? Anyways, Jamie's got to find a way to feed the Trollalog since he doesn't have any more money for meat. And that's when he's like, oh wait, I got it. Murder! Teddy and him come up with the plan to throw people into the pit, but only mean people, which is pretty much the whole neighborhood, so you should be good for a while. So first on the list is Abigail, and Jamie tricks her into riding into the forest by telling her that there's a super secret bike path in there. Then he trips her off the bike and takes it to the other side of the pit, and for some reason, Abigail is just unable to see the massive hole in the ground as she walks right into it. Next on the list is that blind old bat in the wheelchair, and I have to say, this is actually pretty funny. But here's the problem with all of this. Jamie keeps hanging on to all of the evidence. The bike, the wheelchair, you gotta throw all that stuff into the pit too. Sandy's boyfriend is yet another person who is just unable to see this massive pit. And look, yes, I'm sure if we all had access to a magic pit that would make things disappear, we'd all be tempted to use it now and then. Maybe every day. But here's the thing, cooler heads need to prevail. You can't just go making people disappear just because you have problems with them. There are plenty of ways to deal with those people, like a good old-fashioned disapproving headshake, or mailing a sternly written letter to them, or an email. But I always think like sending an actual letter is better, because then you get the option of spitting in the envelope before you send it. And I know the spit's probably gonna be dry by the time it gets to them and they open it, but it's more of just like the gesture, you know, like it sets a mood. So Sandy is worried because her boyfriend is missing, and Jamie starts acting like a jerk about it, and then tells her that all these other people are missing too. He's basically trying to tell her that he fed them to the Trollalogs, but she just blows right past that for some reason. Finally, he's like, let me show you the pit, and she agrees to it if he stops this obsession with her. And quite honestly, I wouldn't go out there. Considering everything that has gone on with this kid, if he asked me to go out into the forest with him to look at some trolls, I'd just be like, no. So she goes out there and holy crap, they're real. Sandy knows this is a huge discovery because this species must be thousands of years old. There's a bunch of people that are gonna wanna study these things. But Jamie's like, no way, they're my friends. And suddenly Sandy slips and falls, and that's the end of her. And of course, Jamie is super upset by this. I mean, he was in love with Sandy.
I didn't do anything wrong. It's not my fault she died.
Okay, that may be true, but you still killed, like, what, 5 other people? And those were totally your fault. I would have no problem convicting you as part of that jury. Seriously, throw the book at him. No, don't throw the book at him, throw him into the pit. You know, that's hardcore justice right there. A lot of people don't have the stomach for it, but I do. I'd throw him in there myself. I mean, some of those people you literally pushed into the pit. You're basically the youngest serial killer of all time. So Jamie's parents eventually come home and the police start asking questions because, you know, she was living in that house when she suddenly disappeared. Jamie blames her disappearance on some other guy that he saw her with. And of course, the police pick him up immediately and charge him with not just her murders, but the other missing people as well, because somehow Jamie managed to sneak all of this evidence into his car. Don't know how he managed to do that. I mean, he doesn't even know who this guy is, much less where he lives. And this is just such a tragedy. I mean, all this man wanted to do was date a beautiful woman and rock a nice leather jacket with a killer mustache. Many of us have that dream. A lot. So now Jamie has another great idea. He's gonna throw a rope into the pit so that the troll creatures or whatever can climb out and be free. And that's exactly what they do. They get out, and now they're free to eat as many people as they want. But it's a good thing the cops are now on the case. So they send out a bunch of people with guns to chase these things down and kill them. So they finally find the monsters in the pit and just completely unload on them. And then they fill up the pit so this can never happen again. Anyways, I guess Jamie's parents had enough of his shit, so they send him to go live with his grandparents where he meets this girl.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Alicia. I think we're kind of step cousins or something. We can play together, okay?
Sure.
Okay, you chase me.
And if you've predicted the ending at this point, I would say that it doesn't ruin it. In fact, I actually think it makes it better. If at this point in the movie you come to the realization what's going to happen, it's, for some reason, it just makes the ending so much more satisfying. It turns out she has her own pit and she pushes him in. Now, I think this is a very interesting movie with a perfect ending. The only thing that I'm left curious about is the evil teddy bear. We never really got the story behind that, and it just kind of gets left there at the end.
Now you wait here, Teddy. I'll be right back.
But even still, it doesn't take away from the movie, in my opinion. In fact, it adds kind of this creepy, unsolved element to the story. But it would be cool to know some of the background with the bear. Now, I totally recommend checking this movie out. It has a lot of different elements working at the same time to create this really creepy atmosphere. Making the character of Jamie such a weird and perverted kid was a questionable choice. I think maybe they could have, pulled that back a bit. But at the same time, I guess you're not really supposed to be rooting for him in this movie. If you're a fan of exploitation films and you haven't already seen this movie, I think you'll really enjoy it. It is available on Blu-ray, which is awesome because it's always nice watching these old films in HD. Getting to really see the film grain, I always feel like it really adds to the exploitation film experience. But that's it for this one. As usual, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all next time. I am going to go look into starting a small side business now. Come on down to Menage Mark's Erotic Bookmark Emporium, where we've got the widest selection of erection-inducing placeholders. You're not gonna believe all the types of shit we got here. We've got something for everybody, no matter what you're into. Boobs, dongs, butts, feet, if you're into that sort of thing. Not that I'm judging, it's just, it's kind of, okay, I'm kind of judging. You're probably wondering, why is that guy so sweaty? Well, there's a reason. It may or may not have to do with the bookmarks. It doesn't. What's better late at night when you're ready to hit the hay than sliding in a nice erotic bookmark to keep your place for the next day? Probably real sex. We've got all kinds of bookmarks. Actually, all kinds of erotic bookmarks. There's no regular bookmarks here. They're all erotic. Very sexual. Extremely explicit. There's actually an aisle that I get kind of sick when I walk down. It's too bad I don't own a pair of chaps. I mean, do you want her to read you a bedtime story while you cuddle your teddy bear, or do you want a side boob? Okay. Hey, loser, you ever wonder what you're doing? Then Sandy is like, hey, loser. Okay, all right. I have too much fun doing this show. Okay, sometimes I forget what I wrote, and then I look at it. Okay, the baby oil is actually starting to really make me sweat now.